So if you clicked on this video, you know what this is about. This is my first review of the program Dehancer. Disclaimer right here. The folks at Dehancer actually sent me over a trial license to try out the software. They have no say in this review whatsoever, but they were kind enough to give me a 1-month license to try it out. I'll be honest, I really enjoy this software. They also provided a discount code for anyone who's curious to use this. Discount code is EddieCJ. You could use the link at the bottom of this video to kind of get your own review. But these are my initial thoughts of playing around with the software for about a month, and I really love it. Become one of my favorite plugins for Davinci Resolve to actually start color grading. And it's actually one of the easiest things to use when you're actually learning color grading, and it actually expedites the process and speeds up the workflow to actually start using, and actually makes color grading pretty fun. So let's actually kind of go over what I like and don't like about this. So as you can see, I try to shoot this in more of an anamorphic scope here. And let's kind of talk about Dehancer. What I really like about this software is a couple things. It comes with a lot of pre-built colors and color grades that makes it so easy to color grade and make your videos seem more of like a movie or have that cinematic look to it. One of my favorites are actually Fujifilm 100. So as you can see here, this is the one I'm using. There's other ones such as Kodak Portra 400, which is really great. There's another one that's very common in the film world, which is Cinestill 200D, 200T, as well as Cinestill 50D and 50T. There's also more classic film colors such as Kodak 200D, 500D, and so on and so forth. What I really like about this is, one, it makes color grading so easy and so simple. One of the other things I really like, and this is actually one of the coolest things I think about the software, is actually this little effect right here. So as you can see, there's a light behind me, and as you can see, there's kind of a soft glow. That soft glow is actually called halation, and it's what a lot of photographers who shoot 35mm try to replicate actually in their photos. A lot of directors try to always replicate that also in their films. And what I really like about it is it kind of gives that nostalgic feel when you're actually using the software and color grading with it. Even if you're not using anything like halation, the colors that are pre-built, it actually comes with another really cool thing, which is actually the film print itself. So there's a couple different film print stocks that are used when you're actually printing your photos, or even say printing on projectors to be used for later for filming. When you're actually starting to work with the software to actually color grade, the print actually makes the final results, which I really like. So let's actually hop on the computer and kind of go over a little bit as to how to use the software and kind of give you my final thoughts on this software. As you can see here, we're in Davinci Resolve. And so what I wanted to go over was a couple of things I'm actually using for color grading. So we're actually going to kind of go over two simple examples. We're going to go over one extreme example of how to use, well, halation, which is one of my favorite things. And then we're going to go over a couple of the, I guess you could say, film prints and color conversions that, Dehancer has. So let's actually kind of go over that. First thing that you're actually going to want to do is, if you've done any color corrections with Davinci Resolve or other color correcting software, is that you kind of want to set up a 3-node structure in series. So whites is essentially just going to get you a good white balance. Corrections is just to tweak anything in terms of color correction that you want to do. And then here, this is actually where we're going to apply Dehancer itself. So if you've installed in Davinci Resolve like I have, you'll find at the Effects tab under Dehancer, you'll notice that there's a couple versions that when you install, there's the 5.3 and then the 7.0. So we're actually going to use the latest version, which is 7.0. And when we start off, here's a couple things that you're going to want to do. If you have a specific camera that you want to use, you can apply it here. Since I'm using a Nikon camera and my color spec is already Rec 709, I'm actually going to just start with this. And let's actually go to one of my favorite colors, which is actually Fuji 100, Fuji Color 100. What I like about this particular color is that if we actually go full screen, kind of let this play, you can already see a little bit of halation and the color is a little darker. It's a little more moody, which is really what I like. But you could also see that my skin here is a little pale for my liking. So let's actually go and do a little correction here. We're actually gonna boost the color just slightly. Let's see, that's a little bit better. And then what we're gonna do as well is kind of make this a little darker because it's a little too bright for my taste. There we go. And you can always use your scopes. So if you're always in the standard Rec 709 and your picture is always, you know, in the correct color space, you always see a little bit of the highlights below the thresholds right here at 1023. And then of course, if your shadows are dark enough, they should be not quite touching 0 over here in the color space, but they should be really close in the parade wheel over here. So let's actually, that looks pretty good. Let's pull that out. Okay, that looks really nice. I really like this. And what I really like about this is you could also play around with the second part, which is the print. So there's a couple different ways that you could actually print film when you're actually projecting it. So back in the day when they used to do a lot of 35mm film, they would have different glossy papers to print them in. And the effect that this is gonna do is actually kind of tweak the colors a little bit. So here's Fuji, a generic print of 3513. Here's another one, which is the Kodak 2383, which is another common profile. But I personally actually really like the Kodak Ender glossy paper here. And you can actually play around with this print quite a bit, as well as you can kind of play around with the exposure if you want. So apart from the color corrections that you get with different profiles, you could also get different popular stocks. So let's actually go to, ooh, right there, Fuji Color Pro 400H. So this is kind of similar to Kodak's Portra 400 in terms of color and temperature. But let's actually go to a Kodak color, which is Ektar, or Kodak Ektar 100. So this is a common one that a lot of people shoot in. As you can see, it already looks pretty well on its own. But a real favorite of mine was actually Kodak Gold. And the reason for that is actually this right here. We zoom in, you could see a little bit of gold halations everywhere. So instead of having a warmer tone everywhere, it's actually gonna give you a very, very nice gold highlight, which I like a lot. Another common one I see a lot of people use when they're actually color grading for film or shooting for film is actually Portra 400. Another one also is Portra 800. So depending on the ISO that you actually want to choose, most of these Kodak portraits are pretty good on their own. If you want to shoot with a brighter color, you could go with ISO 100. If you're okay with a little bit darker tones, you could actually go the 800, which you'll get a nice little contrast as well. So that's the various colors that you could get. You could also get with uncommon ones such as Lomochrome Metropolis, which is kind of like a moodier Batman feel. Another one, which is Rolly CN200, Rolly Otho, which is a black and white one. Images as well. Let me see if they have, yep, they have Astrum Color negative. Let's see if they have, oh, right here. So another common one I've actually been shooting film a lot because it's a little cheaper than Kodak or Fuji is actually Cinestill 550D. So what I like about this one is that it's actually daylight balanced. And it already has just a nice roll off. It's a little muted for a lot of the colors, but it gives a nice coloration, if you will, of just default. And as you can see, just playing this backwards, or just playing this back, you get a nice roll off. The skin tones aren't too blotchy, very nice, appealing look. And as you can see, the grain is really nice as well. So let's actually go to my second favorite example, which is actually gonna be here. So I've already done a little bit of white balancing, color correction. Let's actually boost the color a little bit there. And I already applied a very common look already to this. But what we want to talk about in this step is actually the halation I was mentioning earlier. So I actually just stuck to Rec 709 and I used Kodak Portra 400 for this. Now, here is my favorite part about this, is the halation. So let's actually go here under the Dehancer. There'll be a set that says halation. The halation is that off glow that a lot of film gives off when you're actually printing it. But if you set it to default, let's actually reset this real quick. If you reset it, let's take a look at how it's gonna look. Let's go, let's not use this one, let's use 400, there we go. Really like that. Now let's go to the halation. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is enable this and create the mask. The reason I want to do a custom coloring or custom modification of the halation itself is because if you enable the mask, it's actually going to highlight which portions of the halation is actually going to be highlighted. So instead of using one of these default halation stocks, I'm actually going to go to custom. And this is what I really like about it, is that you could adjust the smoothness, if you will, or you could adjust the local diffusion. So as the diffusion goes up, what you're gonna notice if I de-enable the mask is that the halation is gonna appear a little bit more on the video. So right here in the white spots, they're gonna appear more intense, and you want that glow effect. So if we actually go here and go to the local diffusion, let's actually enable the mask again. Global diffusion a little bit more, let's amplify that. See? And so if we enable that and go back to full screen, you could see a glow, which is really nice. That's what really we want when you're actually trying to emulate that. And what I like about it as well, you can see a little bit of chrome over here from another lamp, is that it's gonna glow quite a bit. And so when you're actually editing and trying to shoot that more, I guess you could say 16 millimeters, 35 millimeters, or that classic film halation look, anything that reflects the light is really gonna highlight that quite a bit, which I really like. Another interesting part about this is you can play around with more minute details such as the film damage. So for example, if we enable this and start playing around with the film and dust damage, you could actually, so let's put an extreme example, you could actually see damage from the film, which is pretty cool. These are kind of just gimmicky feels, so if you want to go for more of that super 8 millimeter like look, or old like black and white images from back in the day of cinema, you could do that or emulate that in your own photography. So let's actually tone that down a little bit, let's scale that down. I'm not gonna play around with it too much. Let's see if we could apply this grade right here. Okay, that's it. Yeah. So that was kind of a quick and simple tutorial as to which system I've been using for color grading recently. Like I said, this has been some of the funnest, best software I've been using, or plugins for Davinci Resolve. If anyone's a Premiere Pro, Final Cut, Davinci Resolve user, this plugin is definitely worth the investment. And if you use my code when you're actually at checkout, you'll get 10% off Dehancer itself. I actually have color graded quite a few of my videos already with this software, and to be honest, I am definitely loving the look that I get when I'm using Portra 400 from Kodak, or the Fuji Color 100. I don't know, those are definitely my favorites. Some of the common colors I've seen films actually produce is probably Kodak Vision 3T or 500T. Another common one is Kodak Vision 3T, 200T. These are common stocks, but I definitely prefer messing around with more of a high contrast color look. So anyway, hope you guys really like this review. I really love using the software. And again, if you want a discount when checking it out, or if you just want to try out the software yourself, go to dehancer.com and do the trial version if it's something that you really like. And of course, if you want a discount when you want a full license, use my discount and get 10% off. All right. Well, this has been my review. Hope you guys like it, and let me know what you guys think of this. Definitely going to be color grading a lot of my videos going forward with this, just because it's speeding up my workflow. But in the meantime, hope you guys like it. Later.